Hi guys, this is an intensive language learning course again. So in today's lesson, we are going to talk about the role of feedback in intensive language learning. So we have many times have heard about the feedback, right? So let's find out about what is in feedback itself first. So feedback is information given to someone about their performance, behavior, or work with the aim of helping them improve, correct mistakes, or recognize strengths. In simple words, we can say feedback is when someone tells you what you did well, or what could be better, or how to improve next time. So it is like a mirror that helps you to see your progress and what you need to work on. So let's look at the examples of the feedback. So here is the two types of feedback is given. First one is the feedback that is given for you by your friend, and the next one is by your teacher. So we can say that first one is informal, the second one can be a formal feedback. So your friend says to you, "I like the way you explained your idea, but maybe next time speak a bit louder so everyone can hear you." If you paid attention to words like your idea and his suggestions about speaking louder, so the speaker, mainly his friend, gives his opinion about his talk, the speaker's talk. So the next one, your teacher says that, "Good job using the new vocabulary, but be careful with your verb tenses." So this is also feedback, and the teacher gives their own opinion about your speech, and not only about your speech, but the vocabulary that you have to use it in your speech. So in order to clarify, in order to find out every types of feedback, we have to talk about them fully. So we have 5 types of feedbacks. They are positive feedback, constructive feedback, negative feedback, immediate feedback, and delayed feedback. So let's talk about each of them one by one. So what is positive feedback itself? So positive feedback is when someone highlights and praises the good things you've done. It focuses on your strengths, success, and improvement. It's meant to encourage, motivate, and reinforce correct or effective behavior, skill, or performance. In simple words, it can say it is when someone tells you what you did well and encourages you to keep on doing it. So in the positive feedback form, the teacher or instructor or the feedback giver is not paying any kind of attention to your weak points or the drawbacks of your speech or your work. Only good sides of your work will be highlighted. So why is positive feedback important in that case? If you are not criticized because of your mistakes. So positive feedback isn't just about making people feel good. It has serious benefit for learning and the personal growth. How? So it motivates learners to continue working hard, boost self-confidence, and reduce fear of making mistakes. Then it reinforces correct behavior and good habits. Then creates a positive and supportive learning environment, as well as encourages risk-taking in language learning and language use, like trying a new vocabulary or grammar structure. We clearly know that every student who are learning a second language usually struggle with different kind of hardships, like finding out the correct grammar form or vocabulary, or how to make the structure, how to make the correct form of the complex sentences, or like that things. Usually they'll concern a lot, and especially whenever they are producing their writing work or speaking work. However, whenever they get the positive feedbacks, they just stop concerning about that kind of things a lot, and maybe be sure that they are on the correct line. So positive feedback in the language learning, how it can be reflected. So language learners often feel nervous and afraid of making mistakes, as I told before. So learning a new language requires regular practice and experiment. Recognizing what learners do well helps them remember correct forms and their usage. So for example, let's look at the example in order to clarify and clearly understand what I have told you. So if a student correctly uses a new word in a sentence, like, I enjoyed the movie because it was hilarious, a teacher might respond, excellent use of word hilarious. That's a very natural choice. By receiving that kind of positive feedback, the speaker may continue the use of the word hilarious in that manner, and he'll be sure he uses it in the correct way. So it is one of the example of positive feedback. So we have main features of giving positive feedback. They are specific, they should be specific and timely and genuine and balanced. So in order to be specific, mention exactly what was good. Great job using the passive voice in your presentation. So whenever you are giving a positive feedback to your student, please highlight what is especially good and what the student did well or done well. So by highlighting the student, you give the clear way how to use or clear instruction how to go on their work or go on their usage of any kind of sentence or the structure. So it should be timely. So give the feedback soon after the action. Praise a good answer during class, not a week later, because giving a timely feedback is also gives motivation, and as well as can be a memorable occasion for the student, because when the students praise it after the completing their job, they can remember what they have done in their lifelong process. So be honest and censor. Don't say everything everything is perfect if it is not. So being honest is also very crucial, because there can be any other teachers or there can be any other students who are surrounding the presenter, the student, and if you are not sincere and honest and just swapping out the incorrect sentences or incorrect answers, and by just saying that everything is perfect, then they may suspect about your feedback, and they cannot rely on your feedback anymore. So being honest and censor is very crucial aspect of the positive feedback also. So it should be balanced. It mix positive feedback with the gentle suggestion if needed. Usually it is clear that usually students have many weak points, and as well as on the one line with a strong points. So whenever you are highlighting the positive points and good points, please give your suggestions at the end of your feedback gently. So let's look at the examples of positive feedback phrases. So we'll see the examples related to the speaking and writing. So in the speaking classes, you may say, your pronunciation was very clear today, or I like how you used that new expression naturally, or well done on speaking confidently without noise. So in writing practice, you may say, excellent organization of your essay, or a good use of linking words like however and furthermore, or your instruction really captured the reader's interest. If you have paid attention, the speaking and the writing sentences can be different with each other by highlighting the main features related to the speaking and writing. So psychologists have conducted their research and find out three main psychological effects of the positive feedback on students' behavior. So it releases dopamine. Whenever students receive positive feedback, the dopamine is released in their brain. If you know that dopamine is the kind of chemical that helps the student to feel relaxed and good. And as well as they feel happier and more motivated whenever they get positive feedback. Besides that, they are more likely to repeat the good behavior or habit. So that was all about the positive feedback. Let's now talk about the constructive feedback. So what is constructive feedback? Constructive feedback is information given to someone about their performance that not only points out areas for improvement, but also offer practical, kind, and supportive suggestions on how to improve speaking or writing skill or other skills of the student. So in simple words, it advises that helps you get better by showing what can be improved and how to do it, and it helps, and it can be helpful and respectful way of showing the student in the correct way. So why is constructive feedback important? Because it helps learners recognize their mistakes in a positive and supportive environment, and it provides clear advice on how to improve, as well as it reduces fear and anxiety about failure or criticism, and it encourages learners to take risk and be open to correction. And the last one, it turns weakness into learning opportunities. Usually, our students have the fear of doing mistakes, and whenever they fail any kind of exams or any kind of writing or speaking tasks, they usually feel upset and don't feel any kind of motivation or don't have any kind of willing to continue their job. But by receiving constructive feedback, that kind of weaknesses may turn into learning opportunities. Receiving constructive feedback is one way of giving opportunity to your student. So we have characteristics of a good constructive feedback. We have divided, in order to clearly identify and understand characteristics of constructive feedback, we have divided into several parts like quality, description, and example. So the first quality can be respectful and supportive. So the constructive feedback should be respectful and supportive. It should focus on the behavior or skill, not the person. So, for example, let's work on your pronunciation together. You may say that such kind of words. So, in order to be respectful and supportive, you don't pay attention to the student's personality, but the work. And it should be specific. So clearly explain what needs improvement and why. Like, try to avoid starting every sentence with and, highlighting and actionable. Offer clear, practical suggestions to the learner can follow. So next time use however instead of but for formal writing. So in each aspect of the constructive feedback is very crucial. So it should be timely. Provide feedback soon after the activity. So by saying correct during or not after speaking task if possible. And it should be balanced. Combine suggestions with positive feedback like great use of the new vocabulary. Let's also work on your verb tenses. So if you have paid attention to structures and quality of the constructive feedback, the constructive feedback more like the sandwich. In the first process, you have paid attention the positive sides, and you have highlighted the specific forms. Then you forced your students to take an action, and at the end point you have given them a clear suggestion how to continue their work. Now let's look at a sample formula of constructive feedback. So in the first point, start with something positive, like your storytelling was very engaging, the words like that. And in the second point, identify an area for improvement. One thing to work on is your use of past tense when describing events. So in the third point, offer a clear suggestion of solution. Maybe review the regular and irregular past tense forms and practice them in short sentences. In the first part and at the end, and on encouraging notes like "You are making great progress. Keep it up." And do not forget to give your support at the end of your feedback. So benefits of the constructive feedback. So what kind of benefits the student gather? It helps learners grow without losing confidence and builds a trust, supportive learning environment, encourages learners to reflect on their work, and makes the learning process smoother and more effective, as well as prevents learning from developing bad habits. So let's look at the example again. In the constructive feedback, you are saying you had a great idea in your answer. Next time, try to support it with an example. So in the negative feedback, students may receive the feedback like your answer was bad. So compare each sentences to each one. So two sentences has the same meaning, but the constructive feedback is given the more gently and respectful way to the students. So let's look at now in the negative feedback. We have talked about positive feedback and constructive feedback. Now it's turned to the negative feedback. So what is negative feedback? Negative feedback is information given to someone that highlights what they did wrong or poorly. After focusing on mistakes or failure without offering clear, supportive suggestions for improvement. In simple words, it points out errors or problems, but it might not explain how to fix them. Characteristics of negative feedback is that it focuses on mistakes and often lack guidance, can sound judgment, and may hurt motivation. Focus on mistakes. It mostly points out what was wrong instead of what was right. Often lack guidance. Doesn't provide suggestions or ways to improve, and when it comes to it can sound judgment, may seem like criticism of the person, not just behavior. So may hurt motivation, can lower a learner's confidence if not handled carefully. So effect of the negative feedback. So positive effect also has, and negative effect also has the negative feedback. So positive effect can motivate some learners to try harder, but may cause emotional distress and the anxiety of the students, and can highlight the important mistakes, but can lower self-confidence and interest for the learner. Pushes learners to self-correct if guided, but may lead to a fear of participation or of speaking. So let's look at the example of the negative feedback. So negative feedback can be your pronunciation is bad. Such kind of words students can hear whenever they are receiving negative feedback, without explanation, no help, and no criticism. Or you always make mistakes in grammar. Your teacher may say general, harsh, and discouraging with the discouraging tone. So this essay is terrible. No advice on what is wrong or how to improve. Usually students, whenever they get, from my experience, whenever students get such kind of feedback, they will have love, self-confidence, and they don't have any kind of willing to continue their work. However, it also has the good effect as well. So in the negative feedback, is the negative feedback always bad? So not necessarily. It depends on how it delivered and how it received. So when used carefully and fairly, it can alert learners to serious mistakes that need urgent correction. But in general, too much negative feedback without encouragement can damage a learner's confidence and motivation, especially in language learning, where making mistakes is natural and necessary to the process. So it was all about the negative feedback. Let's move to the immediate feedback now. So what is immediate feedback? Immediate feedback is a type of feedback is given right after a learner completes a task, answer a question, or making a mistake. So it happens in the moment during or immediately after the activity. While the action is still fresh in the learner's mind, it is when someone corrects you or comments on your performance. Immediately, often you say or do something. So why immediate feedback important in language learning? So first of all, notice their mistakes quickly. The second thing, understand what went wrong and how to fix it. And the third thing is reinforce correct language use instantly. So first step can be prevent bad habits from developing. And the last one, stay engaged and motivated. So advantages of immediate feedback. So it can be fast error correction. Learners correct mistakes before they become habits, and reinforce correct responses. So good performance is acknowledged and reinforcement and remembered immediately. So keeps learners engaged. Quick feedback creates a lively, interactive learning environment, and that supports active learning. Learners adjust their performance while still focused on tasks. So boosts memory retention, immediately correct strengths and memory of the correct form. So possible downsides of the immediate feedback. It can interrupt fluency of overused in the speaking activities, or learners might feel embarrassed if corrected too often in front of the others. So it can break concentration if the learner is in the middle of expressing a complex idea. Just imagine, let's take that video as an example. If I am making a mistake, it is natural. So speaking whenever you are speaking in your second language, it is natural to make a mistake. So whenever I'm making a mistake, my teacher or instructor just checking my speech and often stopping me by highlighting my mistake in my speaking. So it also distracts me to concern about my speech, to think about my main point, and as well as irritates me. So that was the downsides of the immediate feedback. When to use immediate feedback is in language learning. So during pronunciation practice can be very useful, the immediate feedback. And when a mistake can lead to misunderstanding. For example, you don't understand me, you may give me my speech, you may give me an extra question or a feedback in order to clearly understand my speech. So when a learner asks for a correction on the spot, or when teaching new grammar or teaching a new grammar or vocabulary, or in repetition drills or quick response exercises. So immediate feedback in different learning contexts. So it can be one-to-one tutoring, immediate feedback. So in the group classroom, also may given the immediate feedback. So language apps or the conversation clubs. And the conversations club also immediate feedback can be helpful. So the last point we'll talk about is delayed feedback. So delayed feedback is a feedback that is given after a task or activity is finished. Instead of interrupting the learners immediately when a mistake is made, it allows the learners to complete their performance like a speech, conversation, or writing task without interrupting, and then reflects on errors and areas of improvement afterwards. In simple words, it's when someone waits until you finish speaking or writing before correcting mistakes or giving comments. Advantages of the delayed feedback. So it helps practice fluency and confidence. For example, learners can complete their thoughts without fear of interruption, and it encourages risk-taking. Learners try new vocabulary or grammar without fear of immediate correction, or allows for focused review. So teacher can select important or frequent errors to discuss in the classroom afterwards. So promotes reflective learning. Learners have a chance to think about what they said or what right before correction, and creates a more positive atmosphere. Learners feel supported and not embarrassed during the performance. So we have the ways of how to give delayed feedback. So first, in the first point, listen and observe carefully. Note down common mistakes, good language use, and the areas to work on. And the second point, wait until the activity is over. Do not interrupt during the task unless there is a serious misunderstandings happen. So in the third point, provide group or individual feedback to the students. Then use a positive, supportive tone, not a cruel tone. So highlight strengths first, then gently suggest areas to improve. And the last point, encourage self-correction to the students. So what is the limitation of the delayed feedback? While it has many benefits, it also has some limitations. So mistakes might be forgotten by the time feedback is given, or learners might repeat at the same mistakes before correction, or it takes extra time to review mistakes after activities. If not delivered carefully, some learners may feel anxious waiting for feedback. So it was all about the feedback for today's lesson. So let's remember about the feedbacks that we have talked about. So in the first point, we have talked about positive feedback, then constructive feedback, then immediate feedback, and negative feedback, and delayed feedback at the end. So I guess my information was the information given to you were very helpful in order to understand the types of feedback. So it was all for today's lesson. Thank you for all. Do not forget to follow us in the social media. Thank you.